Hi, my name is Zach, and I'm going to be doing my refutation speech on Thomas's claim of fact speech of how legalization of prostitution will improve safety conditions for sex workers. And in this, he had three secondary claims where through legalization, it will allow for regular STD testing, provide regulation of clients and workers, and also allow workers to be able to report instances of exploitation. And I'm here to say that through this, prostitutes still will not be safe through legalization. Going at the first claim, he talked about how, because in this he used Australian government because he was saying it was similar to us in all of these claims and stuff, and he was telling us how in Australia the government would perform methods at their brothels where they would check clients for discrepancies and will also tell them to wear a condom and stuff. And even though he also told us that the study of a criminology said that they have low rates, he didn't give us a statistic showing that showing us whether or not how it was before or after. We're just kind of taking his word that it is low. Also that he also fails to mention that prostitutes are told to do whatever the clients want. And it's just the whole fact that even though they're told to wear a condom, how do you know that the client doesn't want to wear a condom? It's just the whole fact that Dr. Jeffrey Barrows of Mary Roon Hospital stated in his article about prostitution that many prostitutes are unable to negotiate condom use with their clients, or are often forced to provide whatever services the client may want. And he also even talked about whether or not if they choose to go with that they can end up having a 79% reduction in income. So basically having them contemplate whether or not to go along with it. To go along with his secondary claim, which is basically providing regulation of clients and workers, he talked about how the brothels in Australia would protect the workers from the clients by saying that it is safer for them to be in a brothel rather than just walking out in the street. However, it is very vague when he says protection, because it's just the whole fact that psychologist Melissa Farley wrote in Psychiatric Times that prostitutes experience being hunted down, dominated, sexually harassed, and assaulted. And it's just the whole fact that he didn't pinpoint whether if it's going to be toning down on what all is happening. He's just saying they're going to get protection. So it's vague with that. And then he also failed to specify how the protection would. Oh, I actually, my bad. And so is it possible to just say that they'll receive protection without actually having a real aim at it? And so it's just basically just a broad statement into actually like being concrete of what you're gonna do. And then to go along with and then his last secondary claim was this will allow workers to be able to report or report instances of exploitation, form unions, and will help drive traffickers away. And it's just the whole fact that he kind of makes it seem like with forming unions that traffickers would just kind of deter from doing it. Like we have movies with Liam Neeson where it's basically human trafficking. They didn't care, they just picked them up right off of the airport. And it's just the whole fact, do you think not to be rude, but do you really think a union is really gonna stop some people that's been doing something for a long time to just be like, I don't know, there's more than one. President of the Foundation of Women Law and Rural Development, Veranda Swamswati, stated in her speech at Cornell Law School, stated that prostitution will always be associated with crime, corruption, class, mass sexual exploitation, and human trafficking. So this is basically a bundle deal. You either like eliminate prostitution altogether, which is most likely not going to happen, or you prepare for the shortcomings. And that is the end of my refutation. Thank you. was kind of nervous.
We use the same source.
So long to research yours.
Kind of afraid of it.
The signposts on the individual points were fine, so we knew where you were at any given point. You kind of make a reference to the advocate's use of Australia data and then suggest that they didn't actually provide the real statistical information. That's a reasonable press to make. It would be helpful if you had any information to contradict that position, and even if it's not from Australia, from other countries that have legalized prostitution, I think that would give you a little bit of an edge, because then you could say, and the advocate never provided any statistical data, and I just gave you data from one country that showed that there was a 20% increase, or there was no change in this, or any kind of data like that. And I know that there's data about those sorts of things out there, so probably required a little additional research on your part to find some of those things. The notion that the prostitutes are supposed to be able to negotiate things with their clients, some of your argument, I think, is reasonable, but the question becomes, is this going to be true under the situation where there are brothels or legalized prostitution? And your evidence doesn't really specify on those points. I know that that's the inference that you're making, but I'm not sure that the evidence supports that particular position. The one argument that I think ties into this is the notion that there is a demand for sexual contact without condoms, that there's a substantial financial element that's involved there, and that women or whoever is engaged in these practices risk a substantial decline in their income if they're unwilling to cooperate with this. That doesn't disappear whether it's legal or illegal, because there's a financial incentive there. And I think the argument here is that there's always a financial incentive for people to continue to engage in these dangerous practices, and having this new policy is not going to limit that. All right. The second point, I thought we kind of had the same argument here. Is this true if it's outside of the brothels? Again, your evidence doesn't really specify. I did like the kind of point that you have on the third point, a little bit of sarcasm with Liam Neeson in the Taken situation. And you're right. I do think that you've got a good piece of information here that suggests that this business, if that's what we're going to call it, is inherently filled with corruption and problems and crime, and trafficking is one of those things, and the notion that we could get rid of it by legalizing it is problematic. Your exit, though, makes it sound like, well, if we don't legalize it, we're going to have these problems anyway, which is not the way I think you wanted it to go. I think it came out the opposite direction of what you were suggesting. All right, thank you.